The Bear's categorization as a comedy at the Emmys has often drawn criticism, but the show has plenty of hilarious moments that prove it is, in fact, a comedy. The Emmys' categorization of comedies and dramas goes back to the traditional TV model of yesteryear. Back then, TV shows were more rigidly defined. Half-hour shows had wacky characters, ironic storytelling, and laugh tracks, while hour-long shows had deeper themes, darker narratives, and more complex characters, so it was easy to call the former comedies and the latter dramas. But in the streaming age, TV genres have gotten much more nuanced. Succession is a satire of corporate America jam-packed with witty one-liners and absurd characters, but the Emmys categorize it as a drama because its episodes are an hour long. The Bear, on the other hand, is a harrowing character study examining the destructive psychological impact of a toxic workplace, but since its episodes run for half an hour, it's categorized as a comedy. But as dramatic as it is, The Bear's inclusion in the comedy categories isn't totally outrageous. There are a lot of funny scenes that justify The Bear's categorization as a comedy series. Richie holds a mob of nerds at gunpoint. Richie speaking into a megaphone in The Bear. There was a huge laugh in the very first episode of The Bear, Season 1, Episode 1, System. Carmy is counting on the geek crowd to keep the business afloat. A group of LARPers show up at the restaurant to play their vintage arcade game, Ballbreaker, and Carmy is hoping they'll buy a ton of sandwiches while they're there. But when he goes out to get the crowd under control, he gets attacked. Richie comes out with a gun, fires it into the air, and asks the nerd mob, "Any of you incel, QAnon, for Chan, Snyder Cut ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** This is what Richie brings to the table. He might not know much about the restaurant business, but his street smarts have plenty of value. Richie's anti-nerd rant is one of the bear's most quotable lines. He makes 4 broad generalizations about these LARPers in a single sentence. Sydney deflects Kami's personal confession. Sid talking to Kami and the bear. In Season 1, Episode 3, Brigade, Kami and Sydney have one of their earliest heart-to-hearts, but it's abruptly cut short with one of Sid's funniest moments. Sid is mad at Kami for leaving her with a bunch of work to do while he disappeared for a while. He acknowledges her grievance, but in an attempt to level with her, he confesses to where he was. I went to an Al-Anon meeting. My brother, he was an addict. Sid begins, Chef, that is, it seems like she's about to say something supportive or offer some words of wisdom during a tough time. But then, she continues, a little too personal, I think. Io Edebury's deadpan delivery is pitch perfect, and Jeremy Allen White's gobsmacked facial expression makes the punchline land. Kami and Sid would eventually become close friends, but they didn't know each other that well yet. Kami and Richie's hot dog argument. Richie standing in front of an inflatable hot dog in the bear. To bring in a little extra cash, Kami and Richie agree to cater a children's birthday party in Season 1, Episode 4, Dogs. This is a great comic situation in itself, hilariously juxtaposing Kami and Richie's typically foul-mouthed form of communication with a party full of innocent children. At one point, Richie furiously asks, what kind of a*** hole puts ketchup on a hot dog? To which Kami dryly responds, a child, Richie. This interaction perfectly sums up their relationship. Any and all discussions can and will turn into a heated argument, even about something as trivial as hot dog condiments. It also demonstrates exactly who these characters are and how their personalities clash for a classic comedic double act. Richie is the blustering loudmouth who doesn't think before he speaks, and Kami is the deadpan voice of reason. Richie is relieved to be charged with aggravated assault, not murder. Richie sits in a holding cell in the bear. The Beef hosts a bachelor party in Season 1, Episode 8, Bracial, and when the partygoers get a bit excited, a huge fight breaks out. What could have been a good opportunity to bring in some extra money turns into a brutal brawl. The Beef staff are holding their own against the bachelor party, but the fight takes a dark turn when Richie beats a guy who hits his head and might die. Richie spends all night in a holding cell waiting to find out if he's being charged with murder. All throughout the night, Richie has plenty of time to reconsider his life choices. But as soon as he learns that the man has recovered and is only being charged with aggravated assault, Richie sighs with relief. After a night of soul-searching, he goes right back to being who he always was. Richie's sigh of relief is a great comedic payoff to a really dark dramatic situation. Pete brings an 8th fish to Christmas. Pete holding a casserole in the bear. The star-studded Christmas episode, Season 2, Episode 6, Fishes, is one of the best episodes of The Bear. It perfectly replicates the feelings of stress and anxiety that come from living with a volatile parent. Christmas dinner is supposed to be a joyous occasion, but Donna Berzato's erratic behavior has everyone walking around on eggshells, trying not to set her off. This is in stark contrast with the warm, fuzzy feeling created by most TV holiday specials. As Donna drunkenly prepares a meal based on the Feast of the Seven Fishes, Sugar's boyfriend Pete comes over with a tuna casserole that gets hilariously dubbed the eighth fish. This scene encapsulates the dysfunction of this family. As always, Pete means well, but his kind gesture is viewed as a disaster. John Mulaney Stevie says it best, "Hey, Pete, thanks for bringing the fish.